Here we go. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. Hold on.
What's wrong?
Hold on. Somebody sounding right. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. I just want something wasn't sounding right in my headphones. I was like, what the
Okay, yeah, it sounds fine to me.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
And
I think my sound though.
it's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. Lots of great stuff. It's actually came back. I was actually to rerun last weekend. I was at a conference in Nashville with the top real estate teams in North America. Lots of great stuff we'll talk about. Actually got to hang out with one of the brand new sharks on Shark Tank, which is super cool. Rashawn Williams. It was really neat to learn about that. I'll talk a little bit about that on today's show, kind of what his discussion was and what his thoughts were, which is really cool. But lots of great stuff this week we'll talk about. The same thing we do every week is just digging everything in Myrtle Beach real estate. Help you kind of just to really one main goal, help you make better decisions with your largest assets, which for most people is a real estate, right? So we'll talk about what's happening in the marketplace. We actually have the brand new numbers in from last month, and they're really good. So great news there. Both sales up, prices up, and that's in a place where a lot of marketplaces are down, seeing declines. A lot of places in Florida are getting hammered a lot worse than we are. And so we just saw an increase both year over year, rolling 6 months, rolling 12 months. We're holding off pretty good, which is awesome. We'll talk about that. We'll go through the overall macro market numbers of what's happening here on the Grand Strand. We'll dig into prices, what's happening, inventory, things like that. Really kind of look at, how the real estate market has responded to the tariffs we talked about, which is about a month ago now, a month and a half ago. Thankfully, the stock market has bounced back. Our real estate fund has bought another property this past week, which is somebody who wanted instant cash offer. We'll talk about that, kind of what's going on. Also, our team is hiring. We have the top training in the game, top coaches in the game. We have the number one real estate team in Myrtle Beach, but double. And we're looking to continue to grow that, expand that. You're seeing a lot of changes in the real estate industry now. A lot of agents getting out, a lot of the old school agents getting out. And you're seeing kind of that new guard continue to come in, and we're leading that charge. And so if anybody out there is thinking about getting real estate, let's talk about how you get a free scholarship. Real estate school, we get you a discount and help get you licensed. And if you're also an agent out there watching this or listening to this, we'll talk about more about that. Just lots of great stuff. Overall, some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. The official spring market is here, right? We talk about this not just here locally, but across the country. You're seeing what they call real estate season be in full effect. You can see it with new numbers, with new properties going under contract. And so we'll talk about what that means for you as a home seller in terms of what your strategy should be. And also, if you're a home buyer out there, what you should do into this spring to summer market, because just like everything in Myrtle Beach, everybody starts doing things. Everybody starts coming to town, and you start to see commerce really start moving. And if you ever want to go back and watch these shows, listen to them, please share them with friends and relatives. We always stream them on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. You can follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. We stream them there. Also stream on Sloan Realty Group. And you can also find it in your favorite podcast platform. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio. So stay with us. Lots of great stuff we'll talk about in today's show.
For any new listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment. All of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly and an overview of how they work. Right?
Absolutely. That's the whole reason why I do this show. Thanks, Rick. Is just we have to have one main goal. That's it. Is to educate people that listen to the show not to make dumb decisions their largest asset, period. And it just happens over and over and over and over. Even our longtime listeners tend to do this. It happened, a couple weeks ago, we shared on the show where a longtime listener listed the house with his daughter's friend. Daughter's friend listed the square footage wrong by it's like 300 or 400 square feet. You break down price per square foot, you're talking $60,000 in value lost in terms of what happens there. So all these things in what we live by in our organization called details matter make a massive difference. And so we talk about this every week. I made a promise to talk about it in terms of what the single most important variable as a home seller or a home buyer is. It really comes down to one thing only. And that thing is the agent that you choose, period. Now, here's a big mistake. Everyone looks at real estate agents as a commodity. And for them, there's a little bit part, like a lot of agents are not very good, right? The average agent sells 4 homes a year, which is terrible. But it's just like anything in any type of sales or any type of business, right? It has to do with humans. So you have to really extract it and step back and say, okay, what type of business is it, right? It's a service-based business. If you have any service-based business, it's based on really 2 main things. Number 1, the humans that execute it. And number 2, the standards that live by. And so if you go to a restaurant, right, you can go to the same restaurant, have a fantastic experience one Friday night. We've done this recently. My wife and family and I go to the same place every Friday typically. And then we go there, we have dinner. This amazing waitress there takes care of us, knows our exact food, knows our drinks. You don't got to say anything. Now you go back another week, that person's not the waitress. Guess what happens? Not a great experience at all. Wait forever to get a refill. You don't get your stuff. And so the difference there has to do with the actual person they execute, right? Well, here's the thing. The service-based business is also your real estate, also your attorney, also your doctor, because it has to do with the human and how well they execute the process. And so what most don't realize is that the average home sale, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. And so if each one of those variables is handled correctly, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, just like the example earlier where they actually miss square footage your property so it looks smaller than it actually is, and the people basically buy free square footage from you. If you look at price per square foot and it costs you money, your hard-earned equity, or could do the price strategy being too low or too high. It has to do with photo quality, the photo order. Do they answer the phone when somebody calls them? Do they respond to web leads? If they do, how long does it take them? All these things break into it. And if you look at the real estate industry as a whole, the model is broken, period. And I think you shared a couple weeks ago. It's also in our documentary online. Some national companies did studies, and they called real estate companies across the country. There were 3,000 of them, and less than 50% of the time they even got a call back from their call in to the company, right? Leaving a message to get something. Less than 50% of the time they even got called back. So think about that. If you listen to the average agent and a buyer calls in to try to buy your property, to try to purchase it, they're interested, they saw it online, they saw a for sale sign, whatever it is, they don't even get a call back half the time, which is crazy. And so think about this, where if you're charged with a crime you did not commit, or if you're getting sued by somebody civilly for all the assets you've worked your entire life to build up, do you want some part-time attorney, right? Or do you want some attorney who's tried a few cases? Or do you want the cheapest attorney, right? Absolutely not, right? You want the absolute best attorney who specializes in that type of law, who can give you a competitive advantage in the courtroom. And that's the same level of excellence you demand for your largest assets, real estate. But people still don't do that. Even the most affluent people that I know still make this massive mistake. You see the same thing with doctors, right? You see this happen all the time, right? People misdiagnose, people have things happen. They just trust one single doctor. And the reality is, if you have a life-threatening illness, I don't want to just go to the doc in the box, right? The quick, urgent care. I want a specialist who specializes in that type of medicine, who's very experienced in that type of medicine, who's passionate about that type of medicine, because they'll go the extra mile to hopefully help figure out what it is, diagnose it, and help find a cure, right? And so you want to make sure that you look at your largest asset, real estate, the same exact way. But people just, I want the cheapest agent. I want to find out, who's my friend's relative's uncle's neighbor, whatever it is. Like, you got to understand that. Here's the thing I've noticed in 20 plus years of doing this. No one has a criteria how to pick an agent. No one's really asked me great questions. They just ask how much you charge. That's about it. And so that's the wrong question to ask. You want it to be one of your questions, just not your leading question, because you have to understand value, right? And value is what you get versus what it costs. And so we just had somebody call the office this morning, a guy who met with us oh, was it 6 months ago? I had a high-end house, very high-end house. He bought another house. We met with him. He didn't like our commission, which our commission is very standard. It's not expensive more than anybody else. He went with a super low discount agent, called the office freaking out today. Guess what? He's paying 2 payments. It's a high-end house, and guess what? He hasn't had a single showing on the house, not one single showing in 6 months. And so it's one of those questions like, look, that's what you get, what you pay for, right? It happens all the time. And that's one thing I share with our team all the time, share on the show all the time. If I want to buy a Mercedes Benz, and I love Mercedes Benz, I want Mercedes Benz, I'm looking for that, right? In this example, and I call around town, I go everywhere, and I look for the cheapest Mercedes Benz. What's going to happen? I'm going to get the absolute worst quality, right? And so you want to find what they call value. I don't want the most expensive. I want to get something that's the best value for the dollar. And you can get that by just understanding what questions ask, being educated yourself on the process, and really stepping back and looking at things differently and understanding it's not an actual commodity, even though many of them are very similar in how they operate. Like I mentioned, the average agent in a marketplace sells less than 4 homes per year, if you take the average. And there's always this thing in any type of sales, the 80-20 rule. It's in all parts of life. It's called Pareto's principle, right? We basically, you see 20% of agents sell 80% of houses. There's even a top 20, the 20 called the 4% club, and they do 80% more, even in the top 20. And so the reality is you do that all parts of your life. You probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. You probably eat at 20% of restaurants 80% of the time. You probably even use 20% of your dishes in your house 80% of the time. And so you have to understand that you want to understand that difference there and find an agent who can get you that maximum leverage. And so when I got in the business, I'm like, look, there's got to be a better way to this. There's a massive problem. The business model is broken because you have one agent trying to juggle all 100 plus balls. It's simply impossible for one single person to do it, which is why they don't call people back, which is why they have good intentions to respond to that buyer who inquired in your house. They just don't do it. They just don't have enough time in the day to do so. And so what I did is I flipped the business model upside down. We took the old school model. We absolutely crush it, right? We create a team model where everyone on the team is a specialist. If you look at most agents, they're just a generalist trying to do everything, like the same person at McDonald's in the front register, the drive-through and the french fries at the same time. And so with the specialist, everyone is able to do what they're best at. And I created this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system to sell them twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it. We license other agents. It's exclusive to us, and it's powerful. And so that's what gives you a massive competitive advantage as a consumer. That's how we sell properties faster for more money. We have literally, I'll tell you again today, 70,000 plus buyers that we have that we spend $100,000 a month to acquire all these leads. And so it allows us to just have a bigger funnel of interested buyers to help sell properties faster. And for buyers out there, we have a large team of specialists who can help serve them at the highest level. And so the difference in calling us is that before we ever put a for sale sign in the ground, we've generated tens of thousands of buyers who'd be interested. So we have something called buyers in waiting. So if you want to know where it works, reach out to me. You can also watch a documentary about it at blakesloan.com. It's a full 30-minute documentary. It breaks down exactly what we do, what makes us different, and it's powerful, right? For buyers out there, guess what? It's very difficult. There's 100 plus variables to navigate when you're buying stuff, and the last thing you want is some agent who sells 4 homes a year helping you with your largest asset. And so we designed a thing called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the home inspection to give you that massive competitive advantage. So you owe yourself to learn more about it. If you want to go back, you can check out a video documentary on both of those at blakesloan.com or call us anytime this weekend, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break, right back in a second.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, thanks for joining me today. A lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Hey, Sean. Yes, we're unique, innovative options for home sellers right now. First, we have a program for maximum convenience, where I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars looking to buy homes at a fair price in the Myrtle Beach, Branson area. Or we have a program for maximum speed, where I can match your property up with over 100,000 plus active home buyers looking to buy properties here on the Grand Strand. Or 3, maximum value. We have a proven system. They'll sell your home twice as fast and for 5 to 15% more money than traditional methods.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in time crunch, we can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for your home, or even rent.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time?
We use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
Work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market numbers, all kind of numbers in. They're really good for the most part. We'll talk about the only thing that's down is their month versus month for single family, and also condos have been getting crushed. I kind of separate that. We've been talking about that for a while now. But the good news is new properties under contract, absolutely on fire, which is great. That spring market's here. Everybody's kind of been waiting on that. We talk about two types of numbers in the show. Closed sales, which is like what the majority of the industry uses. The only problem in closed sales, so let's say the brand new numbers in right now, we're in May, but they finish up April. We always do the month behind. So if it closed in April, you went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. And so you're looking at, properties that went under contract in February could close in April. So you could be a little bit of delayed data there. So I want to look at two types: the front windshield numbers, which what went under contract the last 7 days. We'll talk about that. Also, a close. So last 7 days, it's rock and roll, which is great. 553 properties under contract in the last 7 days. 4,696,000. So anytime you're over 200 million, market's rock and roll. And that's great news here, especially a little bit higher interest rates like we had the past couple months here, which is awesome. Big properties, $5.95 million under contract. Big shout out to that. That one's in Dunes Cove. My parents live there. Great neighborhood around the lake there. 5,950,000 under contract, which is awesome. Big shout out to that. And 13 properties are $1 million under contract, which is awesome. Great news here. 88 properties are $500,000 under contract. That happened in the last 7 days. Inventory is still pretty good right now. 1,682 properties, single family homes in Horry County. So during COVID, it got all the way down to like 300. So you can see it's actually recovering pretty well. It crossed 1,600 just a couple weeks ago. And so that's a fair market for buyers to find stuff, for sellers to have a chance to sell. It is obviously softer than it was. Look at sales difference. So last week's show, which was 2 weeks ago recorded, was 509 properties, 496 million. Right now we're at 553 for 204 million. So great news there overall. Anytime we're over 200 million. Looking at closed sales, the last 12 months for the rolling average for single family resale homes up 5.5%, which is great news. If you go to the 6-month rolling average, it's up 5.9% in terms of units sold, which is great news there. It did start to dip at 3 months. So 3 months for single family resale is up 1.3%. And then last month, sales down a little bit compared to the same month last year, down 5.3% with 486 properties closed. So good news is the most important is price. Price is up. It bounced back up. We were seeing like a 4-month decline there in a row. It was getting a little worrisome. And again, some of that bounce back has to do with, remember, when rates got down to like the mid 6s, everybody started jumping in a couple months ago. It happened twice so far this year. Remember, it dropped like 20 basis points in a week. People were going crazy. Refinance numbers went up 20% nationwide for, people who are applying for refinances. And so point being, that's a little bit of that bounce we saw. But if you look, sales actually started going down between December, January, then February went down. Then all of a sudden we kind of a new low in March at 365,000 for median price. It jumped all the way from 365 to 390 between March and April. So great news there. And obviously this is nuanced based on neighborhood and where you're at. We saw the same exact jump in average home sale price, which is great, huge jump there. So if you look at last month, it was 499, 292, up 9% from last year, which is awesome because if you go back, we peaked out in December at 510,000, went down in January 501, down in February, and then down in March. So you saw month after month after month of declines, which is usually something to be worried about. But then when rates went back down, boom, it jumped back up from 465 all the way to 499. So that's great news there. You're talking $35,000 increase just in average sale price in 1 month. And so that's a really nice little juice that we needed to the market. That's super helpful. The one thing obviously helped driving that is inventory. Inventory stayed flat, which is great news. Right now it's 5 months inventory. We're knocking on the door, though, of getting to that, what they call buyer's market. For a seller's market, anytime inventory is lower than 6 months, it's what we call a seller's market. Anytime it's above 6 months is what they call a buyer's market, which is great news overall. But if you're getting back, I have to go way back here. The last time we were at 5 months of inventory, really was all the way back on October 2019. So we're getting back to 2019 inventory numbers, right? That's kind of around that COVID era starting. And you saw, so inventory is up 28% in the last 12 months, year versus year. So that's something to keep watching. Showings per listing, still struggling right now. 4 showings per listing on average, what they get. And it's down 11% year over year. So the average listing for a single family home that's on the market traditionally 6 months gets 4 showings total, less than 1 showing per month. This is why the agent you choose matters. Goes back to earlier. Now here's the data. The average amount of showings it takes to get a contract on average in the MLS is 13.1. And so really you need 3 times the amount of showings than the average listing gets to get a contract, which is why most homes are sitting in the market, which is why many properties, literally near 50%, do not sell. We did the data. It's like 48% of the properties get listed, do not even sell. They have to relist or go with a different agent in that time frame. The difference here is you want to have somebody who can drive traffic. That's why the average agent, that's why the guy who called us earlier was struggling. They had 0 showings because he has no marketing. How is that? How do you know? Well, you can't get the cheapest agent who doesn't have any money to do any marketing because they don't have any. You have to have somebody who can differentiate it. And so you wasted 6 months paying 2 months of payments, right? My mom always called that a nickel holding up a dollar. And so you want to just be careful about that. Right now, days on market, the average days on market is 101 days on market. It's good news. It's down from the previous month. It was 116 days for single family homes. Looking at closed sales for condos, down 8.8% last month. Average price down 0.2%. So it came up comparison to the previous months. We saw almost a 5-month decline there for condos. It went from all the way up at 293. We went down really the last 4 months in a row to 249 for average sale price, and then jumped last month alone from 249 to 284. So a big jump there, both in single family homes and condos in terms of price, which is great news. Same thing in median price, huge jump where it went from 218 last month to 249 this month for median price. So great news there overall. Inventory is still climbing right now, 8.6 months of inventory for condos right now. The last time it was at that level was in June 2016. So you can see that happening there, which means more competition. We always know it's supply and demand driven. If I'm in the condo world owning a condo, I probably want to sell it sooner rather than later. That's something that's super important there overall. Right now, the showings per listing, the average condo only gets 2 showings per listing the entire time it's listed, down 22% from the same time just last year. The problem is it takes 8.8 showings to get a contract. So you need 4 times the amount of showings the average listing gets to get a contract. And so that's why the agent you choose matters more than anything in the world. You want to have somebody who, number 1, knows how to market, number 2, knows how to differentiate, and number 3, can help drive traffic to your listing so it can set itself apart and have people actually look at it so they can pull the trigger. There's lots of competition out there, especially in condos. You have to have someone who can differentiate that for you overall as well. Average days on market right now for a condo to sell, of the ones that do sell, is 131 days. And so that's something we'll keep in mind overall. Like I mentioned, one thing driving this right now is interest rate. Last week's show was 6.98%. Right now we're at 6.91. It dropped all the way down in the 6.8s this past week after they had that trade deal with the UK. Stock market did very well, and then the bond market didn't do as good. So you saw rates go up between Thursday and Friday, but we're still in the 6s, which is great news. 30-year fix 6.91, a 15-year fix 6.22. 30-year jumbo loan back over 7%, 7.02, a 30-year FHA loan 6.29%, and a 30-year VA 6.30%. So still very affordable, still great news for our spring market. If you're thinking about selling, you want to take action sooner rather than later. We're in the spring market. You're kind of already getting behind the 8 ball a little bit. You want to always, strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. People are coming in town. We have so many buyers who've been looking for months, the entire winter up north, and they combine their vacation with their home search. They've been stacking, looking at properties, favoring properties. They're in touch with our team, and they're looking to buy when they come down. And so you want to have your property teed up when the most people are coming in town. I learned that growing up here, being born and raised, right? You make the money in the summertime when people are coming in town. When you're at a vacation destination, you always want to time your selling of your property to when most people are here. So you want to know more how it works, want to get some insight or any questions answered, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Quick break, right back in a second.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent.
How are you looking on time?
And marketing.
You'll have about 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes before the show ends.
Thank you.
After we come back.
Is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaBox, lead singer of Rascal Flats. I'm moving on one of the award for ACM Song of the Year. It's stuff important folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it's time to sell a home. If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Hot buyers alert. My team working out ridiculous amount of home buyers. Looking for properties here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area. Here from $250,000 to $4.4 million. You're thinking about selling, please call us immediately. 843-808-SOLD is 843-808-SOLD. Lots of people all over right now. Like, the one thing that makes this different is putting our money where our mouth is. We can mention earlier, we spend $100,000 a month right now marketing from all over the globe. We get buyers and sellers from everywhere, radio, TV, built with lots of money online, because why is that? That's where everybody goes to search for homes, and we want to be where the eyeballs are. So right now, active home buyers, 78,381 active home buyers looking to buy properties here, Myrtle Beach, Grand Street area. Right now, I have Janice Vanderbergen from Sanford, Maine. I got Tim from Grove City, PA. I got Linda Cox from San Francisco, California. I got Han from Conway, South Carolina. I got Lynn Edwards from Wilson, North Carolina, Corona, California, Poughkeepsie, New York. I got all over the place here. Here goes Scott Plains, New Jersey, another San Francisco, California, which is awesome. So lots of big money coming in. So if you're thinking about selling, the difference with us, we have what we call buyers in waiting. In our team model, that we have a team of specialists, 25 plus buyers experts, a listing team, inside sales team, allows us to have way more buyers. That we have technology, we can reverse engineer your property to their previous search patterns and call them and text them and email them to match them up instantly. And that's actually one of our success stories to talk about in a second. So if you're thinking about selling, call us immediately, 843-808-SOLD. This is one of the success stories I was talking about. Brock had a house in Pawleys Island, super high-end house, right on the ocean. His parents passed away. He'd been using the property as a rental property, decided he wanted to get rid of it, sell it, move to Tennessee. He wanted a quick cash offer, didn't want to deal with having tons of buyers because it was rented and hard to get people in there. Talked to a few investors, realized that they were pennies on the dollar or not very serious. Thankfully, reached out to us for our guaranteed sale program. We share with them. We had hundreds of buyers looking for exactly what he has. We did our global marketing blitz, professional photos, drone photography, virtual reality walkthrough, all that stuff. And we actually matched up with a buyer that we already had from Greenville, South Carolina, which is super cool. Brought it in. Cash buyer within 7 days under contract. He able to get maximum dollar, way more than any investor, and he got it sold quickly to our buyer and had it done very quickly. So big shout out to him. Also, Wanda and James owned a property in Myrtle Beach near the ocean. They were getting older, wanted to downsize, and didn't want to deal with the upkeep. They listed their home with a friend. It was listed for 6 months, only a couple of showings, no offers. They were very frustrated. Thankfully, though, a relative recommended us. We came in. They had heard about us and the Barbara Corcoran stuff. We came in, identify the problem, which is marketing. I designed a custom marketing plan. I did global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough, drove massive traffic, 6 showings and 2 offers in the first 7 days. They were absolutely blown away. And so if you want to know more about that, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. You can also watch a 30-minute documentary about our team, how it works, what makes us different, and why you should do business with us at blakesloan.com anytime. Please share that with anybody you may think about making a move, because we're here to help serve you, and you owe it to yourself to look into it with your absolute largest asset by far. How much time we got, Rick? A few seconds. Hey, we'll be back here next week. Anybody you know, please share this with them, share the show with us, and have them call us 843-808-SOLD. We'll see you back here next week.